You've seen it everywhere, right? A sidewalk, a driveway, a foundation, just covered in this spider web of cracks. We think of concrete as being rock solid, but so often it fails. So what's really going on here? Let's dig in.
We pour this incredible stuff expecting it to last forever, but then the cracks show up. Well, the reason this happens so often comes down to a huge misunderstanding of what concrete is actually doing in those first few critical days and weeks after it's poured.
See, the key isn't that the concrete is drying out, not at all. It's that it's building something. The real secret to its amazing strength is this hidden chemical process, not just a simple physical one.
And that process, it has a name: curing. Now, this isn't a passive thing where you just walk away. Curing is the active management of the concrete's environment, its moisture and temperature. The goal isn't just to let it get hard. It's about creating the absolute perfect conditions for it to forge its maximum potential strength. This right here is so important because it completely flips the common myth on its head. We think concrete needs to dry, but drying is just evaporation. It literally removes water. Curing, on the other hand, is a powerful chemical reaction called hydration, and it requires that water to build these strong interlocking crystals inside. They are polar opposites. So letting fresh concrete just bake out in the sun, you're actually preventing it from ever getting strong.
So what happens when we get this wrong? When we let it dry instead of letting it cure? Well, that single mistake kicks off this devastating chain reaction of damage that can compromise the whole structure right from the beginning.
And this, right here, this is the villain of our story: rapid moisture loss. When water evaporates from the surface faster than the concrete can use it for that all-important chemical reaction, everything starts to fall apart. That top layer gets starved of the water it desperately needs to build strength.
And here's exactly how that chain of damage plays out. It starts with improper curing, right? The surface loses moisture way too fast. This creates a weak, brittle top layer. And because that layer is shrinking and fragile, it just can't handle the stress, and boom, cracks appear. Over time, those cracks just get deeper, letting water and chemicals seep in, which absolutely tanks the concrete's long-term durability. So here's the crucial point. As our source material, the engineering blueprint for concrete durability puts it so clearly, early damage is hard to repair. You can't just come back later and patch this up and expect it to be as good as new. The very foundation of the material's strength has been permanently weakened. Okay, so that's the problem. It sounds pretty bad. But the good news is, this kind of failure is entirely preventable. So let's talk about how we lock in that strength and make sure the job is done right from the get-go. The entire solution really boils down to this one simple concept. You have to keep the new concrete happy, and that just means keeping it moist and at a stable temperature, especially during those first 3 to 7 days. You're basically creating the perfect little incubator for that strength-building chemical reaction to run its full course. So how do we actually do this in the real world? Well, there are several proven methods. You can continuously mist the surface with water, or you can cover it with big plastic sheets to trap all that moisture inside. For flat stuff like slabs, you can even build little dams around the edge and flood the area. That's called ponding. Or you can apply a special chemical compound that basically paints on a membrane to seal the moisture in.
So why does this one little detail matter so much? Well, because this isn't just about avoiding a few ugly cracks in your patio. This unseen process, this is the fundamental guarantee for the safety and the longevity of pretty much everything we build.
Let's just boil it all down to the single most important takeaway here. Proper curing isn't optional. It's not an extra. It is the final, non-negotiable step that guarantees the performance and strength you're paying for. It's what transforms a simple mix of sand, rock, and cement into the incredibly durable material that builds our modern world. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought, doesn't it? We've just seen how something as massive and strong as concrete depends on a detail as subtle as managing a little moisture. It really makes you wonder, if the strongest structures we have rely on the smallest unseen details, what other simple misunderstandings are we missing in the things we build and rely on every single day? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me for this explainer.